they say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering, succotash, son!
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Two Sweet Podcast. Lucy and Estelle are back with a Dynamite review. So it's the post-Dynasty 2025 era. We're in the fallout of everything that happened at the weekend. If you've not already, definitely go listen to our review of Dynasty. It's quite an interesting one in that a whole lot happened, but also a whole lot of nothing happened at the same time. So I think it was important for AW to bounce back with this week's Dynamite, and initially I'm just gonna say I think they did that quite well. I quite enjoyed this week's episode.
Yeah, I found this week's episode to be really amusing, would be the word that I'd describe.
Yes, me too.
It picked up on the finishing tone of Dynasty was just ridiculousness, and this whole episode just felt like an episode of the Looney Tunes. It just, a lot of little things just made me laugh in this episode, but it definitely flew by as well. It's crazy how some weeks it drags, some weeks it flies by. I don't know exactly what made it fly by this week, but it definitely had a good pace into it, and yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think maybe it was to do with, I think there was a good mix of awesome wrestling and really interesting segments that furthered stories that were genuinely interesting. For the most part, it was things where you're like, oh, I am genuinely interested to see what's going to happen next in this story, and it progressed in an interesting way. So I think that had quite a lot to do with it.
Yeah, but I also just felt like there's a lot of daft things as well on this show.
There was a lot of daft things. There was a lot of things that made me laugh. Like, literally just laugh out loud. Like, this is just entertaining.
Yeah. So to start with, though, we did start with a Death Riders segment, which, to be honest with you, when you're feeling a bit tired of it, you're just like, at the start of this episode, I was like, I don't know. So Moxie's there and he's talking about the depth of the roster and nobody can beat him as nobody wants it bad enough. And then he talks about obviously dressing the Bucks. And this is something that I can't wrap my head around. So he was like, oh, well, the word of warning, to the Bucks, like, be careful, I get that you were trying to help, but be careful. And what I don't get about this is the Bucks went away, for quite an extensive period of time. But why did the Death Riders all of a sudden have amnesia? Because before they left, they had sort of an alliance. So I don't understand why it's just like they left and they came back and it was almost like a reset of like, well, why are you helping us? Like they didn't have like an agreement before. But I get it, like this device built intrigue. Like, ooh, what's the Bucks doing? Da da da. So I'm not dunking on it, but it was just like a bit weird, I thought.
I did think it required some mental gymnastics to get your head around it, which is never really a good thing in wrestling. Like, it's not a bad thing when you have to use your head a little bit to maybe put the pieces together, but it's sort of a bit like, it reminds me a little bit of like the Adam Cole and MJF situation where you're really like trying to engage your brain, like why does this make sense? I want to like this and I want this to make sense, but does it? And like you sort of piecing things together and you just like the meme where you're just like this, and this promo offered nothing new to me. I was just like, yeah, okay, you're saying the same things. You don't know why the Bucks did it apparently. Okay, fine. Like John Moxley, very well spoken, quite good at cutting a promo. Yeah, absolutely. But you're giving nothing new, so I'm not that interested.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, and it's just that feeling of obviously wanting to move on from this, and when you finish, it has its merits because this is the world title scene. This is the biggest storyline right now. I get it. You can't shy away from it. But it's like when you finish the pay-per-view with it and then you go straight into it, it's like, whew, But I guess they had to though. They had to because yeah, the books it was the big one of the biggest talking points of them returning. But yeah, I think it's what you say, like the actual content of the promo being the same thing, and then at the end, like the numbers game, and it's just like
Yeah, we
I,
know.
th- I get it, I get it, and that's fine. Like just do the storyline, keep doing it, but I just don't want to hear about it every week. It's like actually making my brain hurt. And yeah, the convolutedness of the books,
Yes, that's the
it
word I'm
is
looking for.
simple, but it's also really complicated because when you think about it, it makes your brain hurt, and you're like,
Mhm.
why have we got amnesia?
Mhm. That's the wrestling thing, isn't it? We just conveniently forget things.
But yeah, this had a great. Sorry, my brains are going in two different ways. The first thing I wanted to say was, imagine like you could make a great sketch comedy. I feel about the laws of wrestling,
Yeah.
like the laws of kayfabe. And then my brain was thinking about that, but then my mouth was starting to talk about how the Death Riders thread consisted throughout this episode, and also with the tailgate of Dynasty, in that the ops were featured throughout this, and then we got to the concluding point of we're going to challenge you for the trios. So
hmm
it was. I don't know why it's so hard to talk about. I don't know. I feel like talking about the Death Riders, it's like it's got I feel like they're like snatching my voice away. Like I can't. Just take a breath.
I think
To start with, we had Mox versus Shibata, and then the main event was going to be Hook and Samoa Joe versus Yuta and Claudio. So that was the thread that we had throughout the show. And yeah, this was a pretty rapid match, I thought.
yeah.
Pretty decently paced, but it did end abruptly. I think it probably went about 5 minutes after
Yeah.
entrances and the
It was
opening
very
promo.
short.
Yeah. It ended abruptly with the chokehold, and Excalibur brought up, oh, maybe Moxley was feeling threatened because he was being out wrestled,
Mm.
so he had to,
That,
gouge the eyes and do the choke,
that was
which was,
that was interesting. I felt like that was very forced. Do you know what I mean? I feel like
yeah,
as a commentator, I know that sometimes you have to get a story beat in whether you truly believe it or not. And I felt like Excalibur didn't really believe that. He just sort of had to say it. I didn't believe it, basically, myself. I wasn't convinced that, oh, what a big challenge that was for Moxley. And he really had to dig deep to win it. I just wasn't really convinced. I feel like
which isn't great.
yeah, exactly. It wasn't a great match because it was so short. It never like kicked into the next gear because it just didn't have a chance to. I get that was the whole point, but I know it was just a vehicle to get onto the big segment that was after it. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But it's not really ideal when I know he's not going to challenge Moxley because he's not a trios champion, but he's challenging like his stable, so to essentially get squashed. And I know it's like, oh, but he gouged his eyes. Just all of this opening segment, it was just quite convoluted, and yeah, as you say, just a lot of mental gymnastics. But like I said, I did like the recurring thread, and I also forgot to say that I liked how we're getting Pac versus Swerve on Collision, which is nice. It does feel like they're tying up all the loose threads of the ending of Dynasty, even though I am kind of complaining, but it's just because, right, on paper, I can appreciate this makes sense and it's good, but instinctively, I just kind of find all of this a bit boring, and I'm just kind of over it, and I just really just want to get to the end of the Death Rider stuff, and I know that the Ops aren't going to be the ones to completely dethrone the empire of freaking Moxley, so that's kind of where I'm coming from, I think.
yeah. I mean, we'll get into it a bit more later, but I feel like spoiler for later on. I do think that they could potentially be the ones to take the trios belts off them. But do I think they're going to dethrone John Moxley? Well, no, that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess then it's like who's gonna join him to to take Moxley out? Is it going to be, the obvious answer of Swerve? Is it going to be whoever wins the Owen Hart? I don't know. I will say that I'm sorry. I'm just totally in a sporadic mood right now. But the Owen Hart men's bracket is freaking juicy, man. It's so
Mm.
good. Like I was just looking at it when that graphic came up, and I'm like, damn, there's so many combinations. And I know it's probably going to be Osprey who's going to win it all, but
You
I'm so
think, yeah.
excited for like the wild card. I'm like, what
Who
if
is that?
Kyle and Takeshita face off? What if we get probably more likely Kyle versus Osprey. It's just like a lot of different avenues that I think make it really. I mean, the women's one looks great too, but I just feel like the men's there's a bit more intrigue. But I think that's because the characters in that are more developed than the
Yeah.
women's because just how the women's division is handled.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, looking at them both, there's both clearly got like really great matches on paper, like that are clearly gonna be very exciting. But I think because of the nature of the booking, the men's is more exciting from like a storytelling aspect.
Yeah, yeah. But from an in-ring aspect, the women's is still exciting, and seeing how they're going to handle Athena
Yeah,
on Saturday. Collision's looking pretty stacked, to be
yeah,
fair.
I'm
Some
gonna have to watch that.
pretty good stuff lined up for it. But yeah, anyway, going back to this, the books come down, and Shivani said a great line. He said, "This has now become interesting." I'm like, fucking hell, Shivani! Like, you don't have to expose it like
Quite on the
that.
nose, that isn't it?
But Mox gets out of the ring as soon as they come. He's not interested in any kind of a conversation. Nick congratulates the Death Riders and explains their reasoning for interfering, which was also a bit convoluted. So they did it for Hangman, the Elite. They've got their little alliance, or used to have, and there was some loud as fuck swerve chants as well. There was a lot of swerve chants throughout the show, a lot. Um, it says they say it was a peace offering to the Death Riders, and yeah, but like I say, it just didn't make that much sense. I mean, obviously the climate isn't the same way that it was before they left, but before they left, they were kind of the top dogs. Like the new elite was kind of the top dogs, and then the Death Riders came and took over, and the new elite, rather than stepping on their toes, were just sort of like, oh, we'll let you take this, even though they weren't. They were like, we'll let you, and so there was kind of an unspoken
Yeah,
agreement between the both. I get that. It would make more sense if the books were kind of, I guess they kind of are sucking up to him and kind of being like chicken shit heels, but I don't know. I just don't feel like this was as funny as it was them coming back. I just don't think, if I'm being nitpicky, which I really am, like the presentation of them coming back is my favorite way, like my ideal version of this going down, because just logically, and it's because I'm so into the characters, right? I'm so into the characters and so into their motivations that I feel like that's why I'm nitpicky, because I'm like, well, this is out of character and this is out of character slightly. You get me?
yeah, I understand. I understand. It's just all in the details, isn't it? Um, but I feel like broadly, I could sort of accept their explanation. Like,
Yeah, like it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
yeah. Um, and when they were explaining, like, oh yeah, look, we've got the same goals for AEW, and it's they're very slimy in the way that they did that, and they're obviously doing it for their own benefit and maybe trying to protect their own back from being attacked by the Death Riders. But yeah, so for that reason, I felt like, okay, yeah, I can accept this, but I'm just interested if it's going to go anywhere, or if that's I don't know what that is, if that's just some sort of way to avoid like the Death Riders like attacking them in the future. I feel like we talked about this before the books left, like, well, they're the authority figures, surely that's who the Death Riders should be going after, why aren't they going after them?
Yeah, I think it's just because this episode, as you said, it had a lot of Death Rider stuff, because the aim was to put in 1.5x speed, if you will, the ops going for the trios.
Yeah.
And they also wanted to explain the book stuff. And I think what's going to happen is they're just kind of going to go off, do their stuff with Akada, Kenny. That's going to section off, and then Mox can kind of go off here with the ops and whomever. I think eventually Swerve and Hangman will also, if they haven't already, divert off. But because of this, the way they're doing this, it clusters everything together, which then makes it convoluted. Just don't get too close with the magnifying glass, but on the surface level, it's fine. And because, yeah, obviously the intention isn't for us to hold the magnifying glass up, because the whole point of this is to get it from A to B, complete the journey. So, yeah. Then we had Kenny coming out, which was pretty cool. Been waiting for this for a while. When Kenny went out on injury, the Bucks were chatting a lot of shit on him. So they've been sowing the seeds of this for a while now. I mean, even before, it's not like they were working together anymore on screen, but yeah. So he comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, remember when you pushed me off a stretcher when I had diverticulitis?" And but I've forgiven you. I'm not here for revenge. I'm just here to make things right, and like you're standing in the way of that. So, which is nice. It's not like a total like blood feud. It's just you're fucking annoying, man. I think he compared him to two Shih Tzus leaving shit stains when he wasn't around, and then we got a Dookie chance. This is what I mean. It was just like a fever dream, which is honestly probably why I feel the way I do right now, or at least has contributed towards it. Like, it was just an absolute fever fucking dream.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then he he sort of implied that they're cooks with the reference to the
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
The chair, they've been
was-
spending all their paycheck on like things, and the chair in their master bedroom facing their bed. And then he kind of went quiet because he was waiting for a young cooks chant, which the crowd never caught on to.
Oh, but I thought that was funny though. You're so right. Because why didn't they pick up on that? But one of the commentators corpsed, which was so funny. And you could hear people, like, you could see the moment of realization on people's face in the background when they realized what he said.
Yeah.
It was funny. I had to replay that twice because it popped me.
Yeah, so then he's just like, I'm just gonna come down and beat you up, basically, like, and put you in your place. So he came down to the ring, but before he can get in, Okada comes out, which he'd already come out at Dynasty, and Kenny had paid him no mind. Then Swerve came out, and I was thinking another avenue. I know I just said that all these things are going to divert off, which I do believe they will, but also, like, is this how we get Kenny to the title? It's definitely like a thread if they want to go down that, because as I said before, they need someone who's super over, babyface, restore the feeling, the foil to the Death Riders. And I know we have Swerve, but I just don't know if that's going to be as climatic as they're hoping for, when one, he'd already won it and lost it prior, and two, he's already challenged for the title and hasn't come up, he came up short. So then your other options are the super white hot baby faces. Well, then you've got Kenny and Ospreay. So
yeah, I mean, I'm down for that. Love that idea. And yeah, he's like interlinked in this whole situation now.
zoomed straight into the match, which was pretty exciting. And yeah, it went to ad break, and then we came back, and when we came back, Swerve had regained composure once the bell had rang. So that was cool. It was like,
Yeah, I liked the way it all bled together. It was very satisfying.
Yeah. And the match finished with the thrust kick, the swerve stomp, after Pac rolled in from being checked on the outside. I'm not sure if that potentially was.
So I've read online that he was injured in this match. I mean, Who knows how accurate that is, but it certainly seemed to be the case. So he took that buckle bomb from Swerve, and the camera didn't quite catch it, but you could sort of see that he didn't land right. Like, I think his foot sort of landed underneath him when he landed, and I think it bent in a weird way. Again, the camera didn't really properly pick up on it, so I'm not 100% sure, but you could see him clutching it straight after, and then he was limping, then he rolled out, got checked for quite a long time, went back in the ring, and and the match ended there. So it did feel to me like it was a premature ending to try and protect him after an injury, which is a real shame because I think it was shaping up to be a really good match. Obviously, it's a massive shame when anyone gets injured, but especially Pac, like, bless him, we don't get to see him a lot, and when we do, he's always excellent, and it's shit for something like this to happen. So hopefully he's
Uh,
okay.
yeah, and like a book of them, I know it's quite a dangerous move, but it's like we were saying, we're talking about Osprey doing high risk maneuvers and how common that is now. And in the grand scheme of things, it's just I'm not saying that, the book bomb isn't dangerous, but it's more sometimes the more simpler things that people can get caught on just a TV taping of however long this went, 10 minute, 5, 10 minute match,
Yeah,
so absolutely unfortunate. Hopefully he's not. I mean, how's that going to work though with the trios?
well, yeah. So this is why I do think that the ops are gonna win because I've just quickly googled it and just says that Pro Wrestling Insider reports that Pac was seen leaving the building on crutches yesterday, suggesting there is something to worry about. So yeah, I think that they might have to pivot on this, and I think maybe the ops will pick up the trios championships in the wake of this because I don't know what else you can really do in a situation like that unless it's hopefully like just a short term thing.
Yeah, I guess it depends whether he can work with it. Because yeah, in the ideal world, just have the trios match, and have minimal interaction with him and pass the belts over, I suppose. But yeah, there's a lot of it. I know we discussed it in the Dynasty review, but Orange Cassidy as well. I think I forgot to mention that in the review. A lot of people out at the moment, which
Yeah, there's a lot of
yeah,
injuries going around.
yeah, like it's like a cold or something. A lot of injuries going around,
Yeah,
isn't there?
seasonal
Um,
thing.
yeah, and then Swerve said his piece. Again, he's putting the books on notice. And then he called them out for blood and guts, which I know a lot of people have been theorizing that would happen. I know a lot of people were also theorizing that Moxley might lose his title at Blood and Guts.
Mm,
I'm not sure about that one, but
we'll see.
it's all about the numbers game, and in Blood and Guts, the numbers are even, aren't there? So yeah,
True.
I'm really sorry. Can you just pause again 1 second? And speaking of violent spots as well, that is the match for violent spots. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's one of those matches where kind of like a death match in AEW where you're excited to watch it, but also a little bit nervous as to what they're going to come up with because they just always want to top
Yeah,
themselves with
yeah.
the next viral thing, which is great. It is great. I'm not discrediting that, but it's also just like oh, I'm nervous. They might
It's
actually
slightly
kill each other.
concerning.
Then we had this crazy match, or should I say, the team participants talking about it. So we had the team of Osprey, Bailey, Briscoe, and Knight against the crew, Ricochet and Mortos. So Ricochet, he was the team captain, and he's gonna lead them to victory. And then we had the faces in this weird graffiti tunnel. I'm not sure where they were. Um, and they were saying what because this match was for $400,000, which was very random. I know it's like they get $100,000 each, but it's very random. And why? Why was this for $400,000? Does anyone know? Was it like sponsored by something? What created this stip? Was Tony Khan just feeling like, I don't know. Is he just cashed out on his stocks and he's just I don't know, like, what's going on with that? It was just weird.
It was very random, wasn't it? It was very like 70s. I've seen a lot of mixed reactions to this on social media. Some people have been like, this makes no sense. This is stupid. And some people have been like, this is really fun. And I think it could be both of those things at the same time. And it
Yeah.
didn't, yes, it didn't make sense because we all know that Osprey's getting paid a lot of money anyway, and they're obviously not going to win 400k. But if you suspend your disbelief and think about it like in that way, like your favorite wrestler winning 100 grand, that's quite a fun way to
But
get into a wrestling
why?
match.
But why?
I don't
Just
know, just like
randomly as well. Randomly on an episode of Dynamite. It's so
it's the old
weird.
old school stip, like wrestling for money.
100 grand is a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, it
A
does make you
ridiculous amount of
think
money.
like if this was real, where's that money coming from? Kind of
Certainly
sus.
can. But yeah, they were talking about what they're gonna buy. So Osprey's a Disney adult. Speedball's gonna buy some shoes. Kevin Knight wants to go to Magnum City, and Mike Briscoe wants to diversify his portfolio. So as if this couldn't get any more fucking daft and Looney Tunes. Get
Oh,
this
it's
little
made me
selling
laugh.
point. If you weren't sold on the match already and the stip, this should have done it for you.
This made me laugh. They were so endearing. It made no fucking sense. Why were they stood in a tunnel? Don't know, but I'm here for it.
And then we have Hangman. He's asked about the wild card, but he's not interested at all. He's like the wild card. He don't give a fuck. So he barges into Swerve's dressing room and he finds Nana and he says he wasn't trying to help Swerve. So if that's what he thinks he was doing, he wasn't. And I'm like, oh my god, this man is
That-
obsessed.
Yeah, right.
Because he didn't get like the clarity or the closure of helping Swerve if that's what he was going to do, which he probably was going to do. So now it's like the pendulum, it's swung from love to hate because he always has to be occupying his mind.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if you don't care so much, why are you rushing to his dressing room? A bit suspicious.
Uh, Nana says he has to tell Hangman something he's wanted to say for a while, but Hanger don't want to hear it. He won't let him speak. So yeah, that was annoying because I wanted to know.
He got like a few
wanted to
sentences.
know.
He got a few words out, didn't he? He said like, "I can't speak for Swerve, but I really regret
Yeah.
what went down." And then that's when Hangman just exploded on him. He was like, "What was he going to say? Like, let the man speak, and then explode on him at least. Let him finish."
Yeah. Yeah, so gonna keep chugging away with the Hangman Swerve. Again, this is like I know another theory is that Swerve will dethrone Mox and we will get at All In with Hangman winning the Owen, Swerve versus Hangman, sort of the concluding chapter of that. But like I said, I'm still not completely sold. I'm sold on more Hangman Swerve content, absolutely, and them having that catharsis for their characters. And like I said, I want to go the angsty route. I want Swerve. I want Hangman because he's struggling so hard to come to to come to terms with his emotions. I want him to come to terms with his emotions, be composed, apologize to Swerve, and Swerve's just turn around, turn heel. Like that's what I want out of this. But as I say, I just don't. I still don't fully believe that Swerve's going to be the one to dethrone Mark because I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, me neither. To be fair, me neither. But yeah, I'm aboard the Swerve Hangman train. I'm on the ship.
Yeah. Then we had the 400,000 explosive 8-man tag, which this was a really fun match. But again, once I saw the graphic, I was like, oh, like when they released the graphic the day before, a few days before, I was like, I don't know, it's just a lot of men. It's a lot of men. They're all really good, but I don't know. But I really, really enjoyed this.
Me too.
Yeah, I thought as well the two teams looked straight out of a video game. I feel like they should have their own separate B-side show that's like half an hour long and we just get stupid segments and then
Like side quests.
yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. What goes
Just
down in that
right,
tunnel?
a right, a right ragtag, motley crew. Um, but yeah, and they led into the chaos of the Eight Man as well. The joint kind of spots that they did, the four corner, 10 count punch into the Irish whips. Lots of fun, but also a lot can be said about the one-on-one action was pretty tight and well focused. It knew when to expand the focus out and lean into that chaos, and it knew when to draw you back in so that you never felt too overwhelmed by it being
Mm.
8 men in a fucking ring. But at the same time, like when there was a lot in the ring, you were there for the ride. So I thought it was very, very well done.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It was fun chaos. But yeah, you're absolutely right that it was also like measured and structured too. It wasn't overwhelmingly like all go all the time. I thought that the timing was just impeccable. Just I just it's beyond me how wrestlers, especially when there's so bloody many of them in this match, 8 people. How'd you get your ducks in a row? How are you all in the right place at the right time? I think it's so impressive. And the best bit was when Ricochet got slapped on his bald head by
Yeah, when they all
all
went to go do the friendship cheer and
yeah, so
he
cute.
dove into that, they then moved their hands so he had to land on his feet and then so cute. They all slapped his head.
Bonk.
It was great. Thank you for that reenactment.
You're welcome.
Um yeah, and I also thought, the team of Andretti and Leo Rush look well put together. They were good in ring. And as I've said before, I definitely think this is a positive move for both of them. They're
Yeah.
stronger together, definitely.
Yeah, stronger together for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to build up that tag division, baby. So
Yeah,
hell
we
yeah.
need some meat on them bones.
The matching crone kicks from crone kicks, crane kicks. I just read what's on the page and just trust in it, but um, clearly I have the handwriting of someone who's having a freaking aneurysm. But yeah, of Briscoe and Speedball was pretty cool as well. The Oz cutter, the splash from Knight for the near fall, that was a really cool moment.
Yeah,
And
I thought
again,
that was
the
in the end.
hidden blade for the win. That move is so protected and so it has great finality to it. And as you said, the way it comes out of nowhere, as you said before in the past, you always make sure to get that one in. But
Yeah.
it's so true. And how many moves other than the Judas effect for how many freaking years are that protected? And yeah, so it was that one. And he's probably gonna we're gonna get new shoes, diversified portfolio, a Disney World trip. Bloody hell!
I
I might add
wanna
up so for $100,000.
yeah. I mean I
Mr.
wanna
Beast
see
challenge.
evidence of this. I want to see Mike Bailey in his new shoes. Yeah. It was just a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. So we had a quick little video of the rated FTR fiasco, what went down at Dynasty, and commentary. Even though Pac had just had a real injury, they put this over in a very shoot style of the neck injury and saying he's
Yeah.
ruled out for the future indefinitely. And then Shivani had a bit where he's like, I've been through so much. I've seen the Four Horsemen from all the way back then to now, and um, I've got serious words for you.
Yeah, it was
What
very
would your
dramatic.
daughter think, Dax? It was very over again, comedically over the
Uh,
top. One would say.
it was quite camp this episode in lots of ways.
Yeah, that's a great summary. Amusing and camp.
Um, yeah, I just yeah, big up Tony Schiavone because he didn't crack a smile. He's very convincing.
Next up is I think the highlight of campness of the whole pissing episode. So much about this was funny to me. So we've got the Hurt Syndicate and they're having another little celebration. So they come into the most depressing shite setup I've ever seen. It wasn't fit for a party. It was reminding me of that after party at Wembley. That's what it was giving.
Vibes.
It was low budget. You know what it gave as well? When they got into the ring, they were so uncoordinated. They hadn't rehearsed this at all. No one knew what they were supposed to be doing. Right, I need to break this down because it's my favourite part of the episode. There was a prop where, like a little shitty plastic thing where they were meant to put the tag belts over. Sheldon didn't know what to do. He put it on. He was like, am I putting it on? Am I taking it off? This shite table. There's then two massive green beer bottles that have had the labels ripped off because obviously for advertising. They don't know. MVP's like, come on then, let's get a glass. It was giving GCSE drama when you've been pissing about for half an hour and now you've got to put on the performance. So he's like, let's get the glass, and then he's like, oh, you've got the bottle. Oh, there's another bottle. He quickly pours a glass. It was like the tiniest amount of the most rancid looking alcohol ever. It was just so badly put together, but hilarious.
That really is giving all in after party rancid alcohol. Ugh.
The apple vodka with full fat Coke will not be a combo I'll be trying again.
Warm as well.
Max Caster in the background. MJF comes out though just as they're about to toast, and commentary again pick up on, they didn't need his assistance, which makes it all that more obnoxious because I hadn't really deeped it, because I guess by wrestling logic it's whenever someone intervenes it's they needed the help, right? Even if they didn't, like the Megan Byrne and Penelope Ford thing, because no one ever really points that out. Like that's like very much part of my wrestling sketch. Of amnesia and interference.
Yeah.
Even
if it makes no sense, you just don't question it.
Yeah, until they poked that hole, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Then again, we have this great camera shot of MJF smiling in the lineup, and the camera slowly zoning.
I love that.
Down the line
so,
for each of them.
That was giving like Family Guy. Just that's a very slow panning.
Yeah. And he's speaking like he's already part of the group. He's talking about how Tony Khan wanting to do the Owen, but he's going to skip the line with the Hurt Syndicate. He's like, I've helped you. You guys helped me, even though they never co-signed on for this help. It's just totally obnoxious. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Very on brand, and obviously Max always shines in these sorts of comedy segments. He was born for it. But yeah, so Lashley in particular seems to take the most offense to these shenanigans. He says it was cute that he tried to help, but he didn't get the job done. And Lashley and MJF get into it. And then this is another bit that makes no sense. So then Benjamin and MVP try to break it up. But wouldn't it make more sense? I don't know why I'm nitpicking. And don't take it in a bad way, people, but it just made me laugh. It's like MVP is calming down Lashley, but Shelton is calming down MJF.
Oh, yeah.
And at this point, like, you don't know that Shelton's developed a soft spot. It made no sense, because then he then went on to be like, oh, thumbs down, I don't want you in my group. But then why the fuck are you like calming him down? It was so I feel like they were in the wrong position. Again, this whole segment was falling apart, and it was funny. It was very funny.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they were just stood in the wrong place, and they just realised at the very last moment, like, shit, it's too late now.
Yeah, it's too late. But yeah, MVP is like, to get into the Syndicate, because MJF had asked how what's the word? Not incineration. Innovation. Invitation. Initiation.
Induction.
Initiation.
Oh, yeah.
Induction. Yeah, induction, initiation. How that's going to work. He's like, he needs to get 3 thumbs up, which I love that democratic system.
Oh, yeah.
I think I
We
think,
stand
just
on
do
that,
away with courts of law and governments and let's just judge it on 3 thumbs up.
Mm.
Specifically from the Hurt Syndicate. That's how we'll pass bills
Oh yeah,
from now on.
yeah, 100%. I'm down. All political decisions down to Bobby Lashley.
Um, Shelton's in the middle, he baits, and then he puts his thumb down. So at that point, yeah, I believe Lashley gives, flips the bird, man. So MVP just shrugs and he's like, well, what can I do? So, which is interesting. I thought the way they're doing it is very intelligent because it would be so easy to wrap it up fast with sort of the mental gymnastics that they're kind of doing with the Death Rider stuff. When they don't want to drag stuff out, they will just rapid fire through it. I feel like it's very obvious that this is Max centric and he's very central to things he does. I know everyone kind of is to an extent, but him in particular is very in control of his character. So I like how it could have just been like MVP forcing MJF in and tension building with Lashley and Shelton, and we've seen that so many times. So to see this where it's sort of preying on MJF's insecurities, but he kind of can't walk away now because his ego's in it, and he's going to lose face if he's like, I don't want to join your group anyway, and Lashley and Shelton actually having a spine and having a brain and being like, no, we're not going to let this guy join, and MVP not overstepping because he has respect for Lashley and Shelton. I think it's very well done, very, very well done, even though if this segment was a bit of an endearing shit show.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're all like sort of same in character. Like no one's pushing the boundaries of what plausibly you'd think their character would do just for the sake of progressing the story faster. So in that way, yeah, it's like a slow burn, and I like that about it. I do think it's well thought out. And yeah, I don't know how it's gonna play out, but like, I'm invested. I'm invested.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It deepens your level of investment. It's like if unpredictability is at play, I think you're in because I think it does have that layer of unpredictability because it's not been booked how you expect it to, and it's the same with the caveats of the Owen Hart male brackets. In that if there's that unpredictability, is more fun, more room to play around. So then we had Megan Bain and Penelope Ford, and shout out to that comment that said Penelope Ford has found her dom because that made me laugh a lot. That is a logical explanation.
Yeah, yeah, it all suddenly makes sense.
So she's kind of the spokesperson for Byrne. She's like, she had a taste of defeat, but that doesn't diminish everything she's done in the whole 2 minutes she's been here. And my favourite line as well was another ironic line where she said, everything is going to continue to get worse. And I was like, probably. From my camp, probably. And that Bane will be at Collision, so if anyone wants to come out and face it, they can.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of establishing that it's not over between her and Tony, so yay.
Yeah, if you like that, then
All
happy
power to
birthday.
you.
More power to you. Different horses for different courses, different strokes for different folks. Whatever.
Insert.
So then we had Thunder Rosa versus Chris Start for the women's. Owen Hart. This was to go on to the semis. And I will say, right, something that I've changed my mind on slightly, and this match kind of helped furthered that. But I think it's been a while now. I don't totally hate Thunder Rosa anymore.
Yeah,
If there was like a scale of strong dislike, neutral like,
love.
strong like, it's in between. Yeah, love Jay White. It would be in between like neutral and like. I think it's definitely at least some kind of positive feeling towards it, because what I can appreciate from her is her enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Like, she might in ring be not the how to put this, the the neatest of performers,
Very
but
diplomatic.
I'm trying my best. She's very enthusiastic. And to say, right, she came out and she was booked to lose. And oftentimes she gets booked to lose. You know, she's not really in any big storylines or anything like that. But she always comes out, shows up, does her best. And I think depending on who she's with, I do think she kind of needs someone else to sort of, you know, keep it together a bit. But I do have an appreciation for her, I think. And who knows if that'll continue to grow. But
Oh, maybe
it's
she'll
definitely
move
like,
up.
it's
Maybe she'll move up the scale to the love category soon.
like a seed. And then the seed has like a shoot in it, like a little green bit that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're at the shoot process
All
right
right.
now.
Okay.
We'll see whether it breaks the soil. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fair enough. I love that. I love that. Like, I love that for her and for you as well. That like she's been able to sort of, I want to say, like, prove herself maybe, or just like win you over a little bit.
To me, who the fuck am I?
I knew that
But
was
also, yeah.
yeah, that was the wrong choice of phrase. I knew that was gonna sound as if like she has to prove herself to us. But
Well,
you know what I
yeah,
mean anyway.
obviously. Everyone does.
That again, I'm sort of in the same camp. I don't mind Thunder Rosa. I think she's put on some good matches, but she's not my favourite. I enjoyed this match. I thought this was good.
Yeah, this match just had wholesome vibes. Like we
Yeah.
had Tony on comms. The crowd was really loud for this, which was nice. And someone had like a sign that was "Women's wrestling is in good hands," and
Yeah.
it just kind of had like wholesome vibes about it. Just two women beating the shit out of each other. Very wholesome, very coquette.
Only in wrestling could two people beating each other up be wholesome, by the way.
We had very, you know, romantic undertones at the ending because Chris Statland won with the Saturday Night Fever, and then Tony gets up and she's doing a round of applause. Stat helps Thunder Rosa up, and some person in the crowd's holding a kiss sign up, and I'm thinking, this is total romantic fantasy booking on my behalf. But remember in that match where Tony was like, "Oh, I hope Chris Stat wins," and I know that's also because Bane is the heel, and that was going to be a competitor, so you know. But also, then the fact that on this match he then got up and like applauded her, I'm like applauded her. I live for the applause. It was it was just cute. I don't know. I was like, oh,
It was
these
so
two have
cute.
something.
Yeah.
They've got something cute.
Yeah, there's some
don't-
chemistry. There's some chemistry there.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think that's what's so great about Toni Storm. Feel like she's got that with everyone. She just has that like gravitational
That
pull.
pull.
Wow, yeah, look at us. We're so in sync. Yeah, 100%. As well, like on commentary, she just makes everyone crack up all the time.
Oh, she's brilliant. Yeah, she's so funny.
She's so effortlessly funny.
Yeah. Then we had Don Callis with his dripped out boys. I really struggled to listen because in the background there was Takeshita and Kyle, and they were making really intense eye contact. It
Yeah.
was like really like going through me, so I couldn't really focus. Because they're very visually nice to look at. Obviously Takeshita, way up there on my list.
100%.
But it was something about Brody King, something about Collision, something about potential new members.
Yeah. Yeah, he
I
basically
tried
said
to jot down the important parts.
he's opening applications. He said send your resumes, send your bank details. So
Well, some people have got $100,000 bloody dollars, so
yeah.
Mike Bailey, get in there, lad.
Oh.
Don't know who could join Don Callis' family.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about this and no one really comes to mind.
Yeah, like all the twinks are snapped up.
Mm.
Maybe Max Caster,
Oh yeah, maybe.
because he's kind of heel adjacent, and I feel
What about
like
Anthony?
he's not gonna go heel. He's just debuted Superface, hasn't he?
Yeah, true, but like what I don't know. He could be lured in by the
He's gonna
promise of
swerve you.
success.
I don't know. That I hope it isn't someone like that because I'm kind of bored of they're being manipulated.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of over that. Kind of done with it.
Yeah, stop being
But
pathetic. We want someone truly evil.
yeah, like Takeshita, he's not evil, but I don't know. He's kind of got like Terminator vibes. Like he's just, I don't know. And Kyle Fletcher is just evil as fuck. So he
He's
just
an
don't give a
absolute
shit.
psycho.
I need people like that. But maybe they're trying to get a third because I know Davis is out, so that kind of fills a hole. But maybe it's for like the trios or something because it seems to me
Yeah.
like he's really trying to reshuffle the roster at the minute so that he has more to play with the tag and the trios. It's like he suddenly remembered. It's like he cleaned his room and he found it and he's like, oh fucking hell, the trios and the tag titles. Let's do something with that.
Maybe listen to our podcast.
Aye, but it says who could possibly join because everyone seems to be tied up with things. The only person that is really coming to mind initially, like I said, I'm trying to think of heel focused characters that are kind of meandering and don't really have much to do. I feel like Ricochet.
Yeah,
You
I was
don't need
thinking
no
that.
one. You don't need no. Yeah, I feel like he's too big for them though. Like his personality and his character.
Yeah, I don't know if he would fit in. Is like over the top character. I don't know if
Yeah,
he'd
the
fit
whole
in.
thing is mentorship, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
wanting to be under the mentorship. So whom could
Yeah.
that be? I mean, I'm sure there's loads in the create a wrestler tier that we created. I'm sure there's loads of people, but
Mm.
you kind of want someone to join who at least has a bit of something about them.
Yeah,
Because like I said,
otherwise
I'm kind of
it's
done with the whole brainwashing.
yeah.
I'm being here against my will. Also, what the fuck happened to the murder machine hawk people?
Um,
Lance and
I don't
Brian
know.
Cage, like, has he just realised, like, oh, I can't be arsed with that anymore? Because that's fair. That is fair enough. But it's like, why do we need more? I don't know.
Fuck knows.
Daniel Garcia. Why didn't Daniel Garcia join? He's doing
Yeah.
fuck all.
Yeah.
And he kind of had a bit of edge, but then he kind of lost it because then, like, he kind of just walked out like a chump when he lost his title. But that'd be cool because Daniel Garcia is young. He's been kind of meandering for a while, and he's kind of in the mindset now of I feel like what Kyle Fletcher was when he shaved his head, and it's like total frustration, and it's like I just want to. I know that was coming from Osprey, but it's kind of coming from I just want to get to the next level. I feel like that would fit, and he's also, in like I can hear scratching. Oh, my cat's just appeared. Right. Sorry, that's very distracting. I didn't know he was in here.
The show.
Right, yeah. But I feel like Daniel Garcia, if he was in
Yeah.
that trio, he
That
would
that has
look.
the potential to work. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think the thing with this is that Mark Davis is injured, and so Don Callis is just like, I gotta replace you as soon as possible. Which is just speaks to how cold he is. Hello, oh, the Too Sweet podcast mascot. Oh, hello, kitty. Precious.
Sorry. But
angel.
just that's really weird because my bedroom door's been shut for about like an hour now, so I don't know what the hell he's been doing in here. It's quite alarming.
He's been
He's
listening to the
leaving the
podcast.
premises. He's been escorted from the premises.
Oh.
He should join the Don Callis family. Right, what are you on about anyway? Adam Cole. Adam Cole.
Yeah, let's move
Let's
on.
restore order. Talk about something boring. That'll calm us down. The new TNT champion with Roddy and Kyle. Roddy says him and Kyle need a success too. Adam Cole says some generic bullshit like it's not the failures. It's not the successes. It's the failures that make you. Which I get. He went through a lot of shit. He went through his injury, and I'm not trying to diminish that, but at the same time, I'm kind of bored of it. On screen, I'm bored of it, and I'm ready to just
Well, yeah.
Talk about a knife that needs sharpening, a character with zero edge, zero pull. This is why this man belonged in Creator Wrestler on that tier.
100%. And if you don't know what Sal's on about, do go watch our tier ranking video. We've ranked the entire AEW roster. And yeah, you might be surprised where Adam Cole is on the list. But, you know, I was surprised when you wanted to put him in that tier, but like I conceded and then we ended up putting him there. This week has sort of corroborated that you were right because it was so generic.
And then it was like all these little one-liners of the undisputed era, the kingdom. It was like they just looked like I don't think Adam Cole isn't, but a group of dads reliving like the heyday.
Just like, guys, remember when we did that? Wasn't that fun? Should we bring it back?
It's like you've just won a title. Like challenge someone, do something, have something about you. But yet again, as I said, reshuffling the roster, you know, the lineup, Roddy and Kyle. Even though, I don't know.
So, but then did he propose a new name? When he was like, we are the Paragon. And that's undisputed. And I was like, what the fuck is that?
The Paragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Is that just a made up word?
Paragon. Paragon's a real thing, isn't it? It's like a glitch.
Right.
I believe it's like the
sense.
definition. An outlier. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't know.
Who wants to learn what paragon means today, kids?
A person or thing that has an extremely large amount of a particular good characteristic.
Well, what fucking good characteristic do they have? Being an NPC? So we'll move on to the Jericho segment, which, yeah, you know, things didn't go the way of the learning tree. It's stable. He suffered a humiliating defeat, lost his ROH title, and Big Bill and Brian Keith were able to win the tag team titles, which, you know, that was definitely a crowd upset for sure. So initially Jericho's just out by himself and he's addressing this. He's talking about, you know, I lost my title, apparently lost his tooth. And, you know, I did pop that when he called Bandito's mum a stooge of a mother. It's ridiculous, but yeah. And then, you know, he's like, well, I get it. You've got your family. I've got mine. I'm a bring man out. So then we get Bill and Brian Keith coming out with a nice little dueling graphic. Shout out to the graphics department. That looked pretty nice. I like the colours.
Yeah, they did look very cool. I noticed that too.
Yeah, and Jericho then turns attention. You know, you guys didn't get the titles, and Bill pushes Jericho's mic down, and he says he understands his frustrations because he's very frustrated. He's been very angry as well, and Brian Keith is like, no, like stop, like don't carry on. And Bill's like, no, we have to talk about this. Which, this added to the drama. Added another shade, brought the stakes up. He says, yes, Chris Jericho is well decorated. He's had a long career, and that's why he wanted to learn under him. But he didn't sign up to be his punching bag. But if he's got something to teach him, the floor's all his. But if he's just going to humiliate him, then he's not going to have it. So Big Bill is not in his people pleaser here anymore.
Yeah.
Kind of real for that.
Yeah, big up Big Bill.
He was setting some boundaries.
Yeah. We stand Big Bill for setting boundaries.
Exactly, against his narcissistic abuser. He was not feeding into that, but Chris is like, you know, I needed you, Bill, and you were there at the match, and some people might say it's your fault, but I wouldn't say that. You know, so some underhand manipulation tactics, and then he's like, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. Repeats to say that, which, you know, the first time he said it, it had a bit of like a sting. It was like, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. And it was like, ooh. But then he totally crashes out. He has a proper mentee B. And he's like, I'm disappointed. And then he's like hitting the TV with the bat. He's doing this over and over again. And he says, unless they change um, that, it's best that they leave as he continues to sort of spiral out of control. So what do you make of that? What do you make of this actually fairly entertaining Chris Jericho segment?
It actually was, wasn't it? Is Fozzy going on tour or something? Is that
Fozzy's
what
been on
this?
tour for like past however long. We were like, he's gonna. He's a
Hopefully
man
he
who can
will soon.
multitask. He can multitask Fozzy. He can multitask the cruise, Fozzy, his
Mm,
podcast,
yeah, God,
wrestling. A man
he's
of many
busy.
caps.
Yeah, I think this was hopefully a way of sort of writing him out for a little bit because he was like,
Do you think?
well, he was like, I'm just gonna go away for a while, and then he just drove away in his car, didn't he? Later, so
True.
I'm manifesting that this is gonna happen, but
True. I thought this was gonna. I don't
maybe
know.
not to
I thought it
prolong
was.
what's
We
going
need
on
to
with.
band together and go for the trios.
Oh God, fucking
I just
hope
feel
not.
like we're properly trying to set up that trios division,
Mm,
and they want gold, and they haven't been able to achieve that.
yeah, to be
So I
fair,
just feel like that could be. I prefer your theory though. That he just fucks off. That'd be
no, I
better.
think you make a good point though. It was quite. We're having a lot of teams establish themselves lately, aren't we? So yeah.
Did you hear that fan as well? My favourite part is when Jericho goes skulking off down the ramp and this guy just goes stuck on a maple leaf.
Yes, it was so loud
That's
and
so
so clear.
funny.
It was hilarious.
Oh, this
And
episode, man.
the way he said it was so. I can't remember now, but it was just like it was
I
the
was so
amazing
angry.
delivery of it was just amazing.
Charged. It was a charged delivery. Yeah, it was so funny. This whole
I
episode
also
was.
just fight the corner of Bad Apple again.
Yes,
I
of
be the
course.
voice of the voiceless.
Of
Um,
course.
he was an afterthought again in this. It was very much like Jericho and Big Bill were having a conversation, and this poor little guy was just there for no reason. Because like Big Bill was speaking for him, he was like, "Yeah," and I know that Brian Keith feels the same way. And then Chris Jericho was in his face like, "Well, do ya?" And I thought he was gonna reply, but he didn't even get the chance to reply before Jericho went off on his weird tangent. So disappointed.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's like Brian Keefe. He's still got some work to do. Maybe he's got some trauma. Maybe that's why he's gravitating towards people like Chris Jericho and Big Bill. He's kind of in his healing era, and he's ready to speak up. Maybe Brian Keefe just doesn't want to disappoint Chris Jericho because normally in their past segments he's very charged. He's very like, that's what he said. The learning tree. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
He was very tormented
He
internally, and
Yeah.
that'll come out in the future.
Hope so. I hope so. I hope my man has his opportunity. Don't want him to
Oh
bottle it
dear.
all up.
Exactly. That's not good. Then we had the showing of Max Caster, the pre-show, just in case you didn't see, with Bowens as his mystery opponent. Um,
Mm,
yeah, and yeah,
yeah, how
Anthony Bowens now
exciting.
going to be an active part of the roster. So, yeah, well, it's early days. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, all I know is that I had a Jericho segment followed by a Max Caster video package, so I was kind of zoned out.
Fair. Um, fair. The Hurt Syndicate are asked about MJF. Lashley says they don't need him. Benjamin agrees, but he finds it funny. So, it's sort of wearing down uh, Shelton at the least. He finds him somewhat endearing. It's a start. MJF comes in and he asks if he looks like a female dog. Don't they know who he is? MVP's like, yeah, they know who you are.
That's
Lol.
the problem.
Um, that's the problem. And he says, this is business and you need to find out what the consumer wants. So, yeah, just continuing this on, and I guess it like fleshed out a little bit where they're all standing, and again like MJF's insecurity, and still just being like an absolute like cunt throughout this segment.
Mm.
So you know,
Yeah, yeah.
like you
Interesting.
empathize with him, you also don't.
Yeah,
It's just enjoyable TV.
it's hard because whenever I see Max being sad, it makes me sad. But then it's like you put this on yourself.
Yeah, no one asked for this. You
Mm,
just inserted yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. It's interesting though, because he's at least wearing down Shelton Benjamin. So it's like, what's it going to take for Lashley? And I feel like with Lashley, it's going to take actual in-ring results, like something physical for him to change his mind and not just intercepting into a match with someone. I feel
yeah,
like this could be very long term. Like we could have it
yeah,
at the next
yeah.
pay-per-view, and whoever the next challengers are against the Hurt Syndicate, maybe they're a bit more credible. Maybe it's FTR. Maybe it really does come like a hair away, and then Max intercepts or something along those lines.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
that's kind of how I'm seeing it going. But I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can, like I said before, I can see this being very slow burny, very, yeah, long term.
Yeah. So we had the main event, which was Yuta and Claudio versus Joe and Hook. This was very much a bring your son to work day kind of vibe.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was more like, daddy with a twink kind of vibe.
Oh yeah, it was also Daddy with a twink kind of vibe as well. Yeah, lots of fun dynamics within this match. Also, did Joe have like cup acupuncture on his back? Because he
Yes, I
looked like an
think so.
octopus had like onto his back.
Yeah. I see a lot of
Yeah,
wrestlers with that. I do wonder, like, don't know, maybe I need to give it a go. I don't know,
maybe.
what do they call it? Cup suction stuff.
Yeah, acupuncture. Hook was isolated throughout a lot of this match, so it was kind of his struggle. One thing that I did notice was, I don't know if this is intentional, but Yuta and Claudio kind of worked in tandem, and if Yuta was like in trouble, Claudio would step in. But throughout a lot of
Mm.
Hook's kind of isolation throughout his match, Joe just kind of watched on and kind of just let him go at it and didn't intercept. Which again, I don't know if that was like intentional or whether that was supposed to be on purpose. I don't know,
Yeah, I
but it
mean,
was interesting.
very possibly it was on purpose. Like Samoa Joe's the teaching figure, and he's willing to let Hook sort of experience.
Learn the hard lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Like learn the hard way and throw it in the deep end, sink or swim type of teaching style.
Different parenting styles.
Yeah.
You know, Wheeler Yuta, he's like an iPad kid. He just gets the iPad.
Yeah.
Hook goes to the restaurant and he colours in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he gets like a traditional crayon pop,
And he's allowed to try things out.
crisp A4 piece of paper. Yeah. The ending of
Crayons.
this match was kind of interesting though. We had a lot of synchronicities.
Yes, that
Whatever
word.
is. That word that I can read but can't say.
Mm.
Mox comes down again, like I know this isn't how it's meant to be read. Of we need to help our son out. It's supposed to be we're the Death Riders and we can't lose, but we're just creating fan fiction right now. But yeah, Mox comes down, and Yuta begins gouging the eyes of Hook, which Mox had done to Shibata earlier. So it's like another father like son
Mm-hmm.
moment. Shibata comes down and kind of is able to blindside choke Mox out. We had the key to clutch. With Joe and Hook doing his respective choke out submission with Red Rum on Yuta for the win. But Shafir came down with the chair, so the Death Riders can assume their beat down. We had a really nasty neutralizer on the opened out chair to Hook. Joe picks the mic up saying the Ops are coming for a fist fight, but the Death Riders are acting like Dick Riders. Lol. Then the challenge for the trios, and yeah, this was fine. It was fine. It suited the tone of the show. It was entertaining, but it wasn't like a masterpiece wrestling match. And I don't think there was. I mean, the eight man was pretty good, and the women's match, but a lot of the wrestling was quite short because there was quite a lot of stuff to get into,
Yeah,
and a lot of the matches were vehicle matches rather than exhibition matches. So,
yeah,
which is fine. Like you can't, there's always going to be something that you're going to be missing from an hour and 40-minute show. You can't fucking cram everything in for God's sake. But yeah, it had a bit of an interesting tone. The ending, I thought.
yeah. It did. I think having that triumphant ending. Well, it's hard to try. It's difficult to say if it was triumphant, but basically, like maybe that's not the right word, but quite an emphatic ending, isn't it? Having Samoa Joe standing tall and being like, "We are coming for you, and we are coming for those championships." That's a very that's a deliberate way to end the show on that note. It's quite optimistic, maybe, like just to give people a bit of hope that oh yeah, this could happen. And yeah, like I said earlier, I do think I'm pretty convinced that the Ops can do it, just because of circumstance, and I feel like they're the sort of new. Well, I want to say new blood. Obviously, they're all not new to AEW really, but you know what I mean about them being like new blood to the trios division, if it can even be called that, to give it that refresh that it needs. And have some fun matches like this on Dynamite and Collision where they do defend them like week on week. So I think they'd fit that mold very well. Um, so I don't know. I feel like they're legit. I feel like I believed Samoa Joe.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think there's credibility there for sure. And they kept reiterating again the numbers game, and they had the numbers game up until Shafir intercepted. Now, I didn't know whether it was going to be on the same night because obviously we have to dismantle. You would hope Shafir because we are still hoping on that Willow match and the trios.
Yeah,
So I don't know whether it is instead going to be stretched out, as in like first the trios go, then like kind of what Cope did, but over the period we need to break it down. We need to get rid of trios. We need to get rid of Shafir. So therefore, whoever stands against Mox, it is just a one-on-one with limited shenanigans. I'd
yeah,
assume that's kind of the path that we're gonna go down. But yeah, I definitely felt like it was quite a triumphant victory when they actually won the match, and it was a bit irritating, which I know it's supposed to be irritating to Ghana. I know that's the intention of it, but when Shafir came in with the checks, it was like,
mm,
oh, like, oh, that's a shame.
hmm
But I know that's the point.
yeah. Like puts a bit of a dampener on it, doesn't it? But yeah, I feel like we got the. It was just a roller coaster of emotions, wasn't it? Because the the Ops won, then they got all beat up, but then Death Riders got chased away, and then that's the lasting impression, like the last taste in your mouth, is of the good guys on top and having the final word.
Yeah. I'd
It's a
say
nice
like my
contrast from
takeaways.
Dynasty.
Yeah, definitely. My takeaways from the show are actually surprisingly, I'm still, well, not surprisingly in this regard, but I'm interested in the Owen Hart tournament
Yeah,
from both divisions. And I've talked a lot about the men's, but also the women's too. Excited to see how that goes. Excited, surprisingly, for especially breaking it down the tag and the trios division
yeah,
because I
right.
do think some seeds are being sown, and
hmm
I'm wondering if we can maybe fit in even more of the new blood, like Mike Bailey, because he works really. He's done a few. I know he's had a long career before AEW, but in AEW of what we've seen, um, working, he's done a freeway and now the eight man. He can work well with multiple people, so I don't want to just see him floundering. Like he can go and do something, and then also like it swaps people out so that they can push forward their little passion projects of Anthony Bowens and will he sink or swim as a solo star. So I think
Hmm.
it's just rearranging the board and it giving it a shake up. And when Mox gets dethroned, it's going to shake it up even more, which I think will lead to more interesting matchups and storylines.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what I liked about this episode was it felt like it was, yeah, like reshuffling things, sort of refocusing with all like I feel like the
Yeah,
main characters
they
in
got
air
really they got
quotes.
really good at that. Really good at that because we shouldn't take that for granted how bad those run of dynamites were early last year when no one was clocking into work.
Yeah.
No one was. It was really, really bad. So the fact that there is that consistency with the product and I'm excited every week because I know I'm going to see the main characters, as you put it. It's
Hmm.
not a will I, won't I. I see them every week on my TV, and that goes a long way.
Exciting. It's
Yeah,
exciting and
exactly.
you can follow along the story very easily and it's easy to get invested. So yeah,
And they
I
can get
found,
invested themselves.
oh yeah,
Like the
100%.
actual wrestlers can get more invested, can't they?
Yeah,
Rather
'cause
than when
it's
it's stop, start,
consistent.
stop, start.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, it felt quite comforting this episode because it was funny in parts and there was also some good wrestling and it was all my favorite people. It felt like a nice warm hug.
While you're eating your little pizza as well.
Yeah, I had a Domino's
Living your
pizza
absolute
watching it.
best life.
Yeah, literally. But then the food made me really sleepy. So,
This is the struggle.
mm, yeah. But I guess we have to rate it then.
I suppose.
So
I suppose.
where I don't know where I'm landing on this because I did enjoy it.
I think it's a solid 8.5
Yeah.
for feeling. It was enjoyable. I know at the start I might come across like I was a bit nitpicky, um, in terms of like story, but you think less, feel more. The emotion of the show, it was easy to watch. It was funny. It was amusing. It did what it needed to do at the same time. It ticked the boxes, and you want to tune into Collision and you want to tune into next week. So you can't. It would have bumped it a bit high for me if we'd had that high caliber wrestling match. That would have really taken it up for me. But as I
Mm,
say, you can't have it all, can you?
yeah, I think you're right. I think that was kind of the blocker in my head. Like, was the a excellent standout wrestling match? Not really. Like the eight-man tag was really good. The women's match was really good too. But yeah, I think that you're right. You're right. That was sort of the one thing that was maybe missing. But I can settle on an 8.5. I think that's fair and accurate. It was really fun. It was just really fun for all the reasons I've already said.
And not last week, last month, even post pay-per-view, Dynamite. I remember you saying it's kind of like the after party,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what this is. And then I'm thinking, maybe we should judge it by its own merit because other than the Raw after WrestleMania or the Dynamite after All In, where you might have really high expectations for it, it's not really a thing in the same way that a go home show is. But I am kind of seeing a pattern, I think, in that post pay per view dynamites tend to not be as wrestling heavy. And I don't know if that's like just fatigue because we had so much wrestling at Dynasty. So maybe it is the right call to have it that way and have it be focused on story beats because I guess in that respect it makes sense because you've had so much fucking wrestling and no time for talking and no time for sorting stuff out. I guess it does make sense that they do it, that it was done the way it was.
Yeah, so yes, absolutely. Um, so to your point, last time, so was Revolution. So we gave Revolution an 8.25 rating, and the Dynamite afterwards was an 8. And this time we've got Dynasty on a 7, and the following Dynamite on an 8.5. So Yeah, I think it's to do with like just shifting the tone a bit from pay-per-view, especially because AEW pay-per-views can sometimes tend to be quite dark, and then you just come into Dynamite, it's a bit of a fresh slate, and yeah, like you said, you're having the chance to flesh out the story with some more, yeah, just like bit of talking, some segments that illustrate where we're going forward, and I think that works really well.
Yeah. But I am still happy to keep it at an 8.5.
Yeah, me too, me too. I think
that's an appropriate rating.
Yeah, definitely. So let us know in the comments if you agree with our rating and what you thought of the show. Like I've mentioned, well, I guess you wouldn't have listened all the way through if you were intending on going back and listening to the Dynamite review. I mean, the Dynasty review. But if you're interested, do go and listen to that, and also our AEW entire roster tier ranking. I'm sure you'll find something to disagree with on that. So yeah, do give that a listen. It's in 2 parts. So yeah, that's it for our Dynamite review. I don't think we had anything else to add on at the end, did we, this week? No. No, so thank you very much for listening. Do, if you're not already subscribed or follow us, give us a rating, give us a like. We really do appreciate all the support, and thanks so much for listening.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb!